One.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. This is the Committee on Education, Monday, February 8th, 3 o'clock committee meeting in conference room 229. With us in the room, we have Senator Drew Kanuha, Vice Chair Senator Donna Mercado Kim. Online, I believe we have Senator Favela. This meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being streamed live on YouTube. You will find links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. This Zoom meeting and YouTube live stream event will include the 3 o'clock p.m. agenda for the Committee on Education. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to major technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business at Wednesday, February 10th at 3 p.m., and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. I'd like to take this time to remind our testifiers that due to time restrictions on our hearings, we will be limiting testimony to 1 minute per testifier per bill. For the people participating remotely, all testifier audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. When I call your name, staff will unmute you and your time will begin. After your minute is completed, staff will mute you so that we can move this hearing along in an orderly and efficient manner. Thank you. Starting with our first agenda item, Senate Bill 813, relating to charter schools, requires authorizers to provide each charter school it oversees a list of approved independent auditors. To testify, Yvonne Lau, Interim Executive Director, State Public Charter School Commission. Yvonne?
Thank you, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, members of the committee. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak in strong support of this bill. Simply put, in addition to our written testimony, we're asking that we be allowed to add additional qualified auditors to this list. We have needs for additional auditors for neighbor island schools, and we want to make sure that we're able to provide them with the qualified auditors instead of limiting it to just 3. So we thank you for that proposed change. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Members, are there any questions? If not, there is no one else to give oral testimony, although we have written testimony that you may review at a later time. Moving on to item number 2, Senate Bill 814, relating to charter schools. Clarifies the process for applicants to submit a letter of intent to apply to open and operate a charter school, provides for penalties for authorizers who fail to timely comply with board decisions. And we have oral testimony, again from Yvonne Lau, Interim Executive Director, Hawaii State Public Charter School.
Thank you, Chair Kim, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, and members of the committee. Thank you so much for allowing us to provide comments on this bill. We understand that there were a number of issues that we encountered this last year, and we are proposing that we amend the statute to eliminate the requirement for the intent to apply and to simplify the process so that all that are interested and want to apply for a charter school can do so, and that the commission can review their applications. Secondly, the additions or the changes to the statute in Section 2, I would simply say that there are existing mechanisms with the Board of Education that can address the issues with any authorizer or a charter school commission to exercise their oversight authority. And additionally, the second part of that section also appears to have a process already in place that we stated in our written testimony. So we're happy to work with the committee and other interested.
Thank you, Yvonne. Also, to to provide oral testimony is Murat Arabaki. Murat, please.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, and members of the committee. I'll speak in favor of this bill. I represent a charter school applicant group, Kulia Academy. We are proposing to open a school in Kalihi area. We very much support this bill. I think it is very helpful. I submitted a written testimony. I also would like to add, if you would consider adding, if we can ask some clarifying questions to the authorizer, that would be really helpful. Certain things are subject to interpretation, and a lot of times we might not know the expectation or the interpretation of the authorizer, so it would be helpful. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Members, questions? If not, that concludes the oral testimony. We do have written testimony as well. If no questions, members, moving on to item 3. Also relating to charter schools, requires that a minimum of 2 of the 3 auditors selected by the authorizer for the state's public charter schools have offices on the neighbor islands. To testify, Yvonne Lau, Interim Executive Director. Yvonne, please.
Thank you, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, members of the committee. Again, we thank you for the opportunity to provide comments. We believe that Senate Bill 813 would actually address this concern. It has always been the Commission's intent to increase the number of auditors that can service all 37 of our schools, understanding that we have a number of our schools on our neighbor islands. So we welcome any additional neighbor island auditors that are qualified to do that, and we would love to be able to add them to our list of auditors. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Members, any questions? No questions. We have no further oral testimony. Moving on to item number 4. Senate Bill 808, relating to the School Facilities Agency, describes the powers and responsibilities of the School Facilities Agency by amending Act 72, Session Laws of Hawai'i 2020, transfers the total fund balance in the State Educational Improvement Fund to the School Facilities Special Fund by a certain date. To testify, Randall Tanaka, Assistant Superintendent, Department of Education. Randy, please.
Hello, Senator Kidani, Vice Chair Kim. Thank you very much for your time, and committee members. We stand by our testimony presented, and thank you for always keeping in mind the youth in the Keiki of Hawaii. Any questions, I'll be willing to answer. Aloha.
Mahalo, Randy. Members, any questions of Assistant Superintendent Tanaka? Hearing none, we're moving on to the next testifier, Bonnie Kahukui, Acting Administrator for State Procurement Office.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. The State Procurement Office stands on its written testimony providing comments.
Thank you, Bonnie. Members, questions? If not, that's all the testimony we have for this measure. We do have written testimony for your review. Moving on to the next item, Senate Bill 136, relating to the School Facilities Agency, requires the Department of Education School Facilities Agency to adopt and publish administrative rules necessary to implement Act 72, Session Laws of Hawai'i 2020 by July 1, 2021. Requires the Office of the Governor to provide a report to the legislature regarding the process by which the Department of Education purchases land and executes capital improvement project contracts through the School Facilities Agency. There was no testimony submitted on this item. Members, questions, comments? If not, moving on to the next item. Senate Bill 863, relating to school improvements, requires the Department of Education to conduct an electrical assessment on all public and charter schools in the state to determine whether its electrical capacity will allow for the installation of air conditioning units and other air purifying devices, and note the level of need in each classroom. Requires the Department of Education to submit a report of its findings and recommendations to the legislature no later than December 31st, 2021. To testify, Randy Tanaka, Assistant Superintendent, Department of Education. Randy, please.
Hello, Senator, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Kim, members of the committee. We have submitted testimony. Thank you very much for your time and efforts, once again, for the interest of the schools and our students. So we stand by our testimony. Aloha.
Thank you. Senator Kanuha has a question.
Thank you, Chair. Hello, Randy.
Hello, Senator.
Just a quick question. I know you mentioned that, we could view details of the assessments through the Department CIP project tracking system. Part of this bill also, it asks for a report. To me, that's kind of sometimes it's real difficult to go through the system to kind of pull out, individual needs, yeah. So that's why I kind of asked, an overall report about the entire DOE system. It just simplifies the way we can look at it.
Yes, I agree with your point. In the private sector, we would have an annual report that describes all the different things that we're doing, success or where we are. So I've introduced that as part of our ongoing program for the system that we use called CPT, which is really to track projects at the school level. I've also had them customize reports that aggregates all the different work that we're doing, so we can send that to you in a PDF form, or have that trained through one of your staff. So that's the adjustments I've made in the last 5-6 months. So the system is a little more friendly, because if you've got to dig through it, it can get a little cumbersome. So that's kind of where we are. Just a side comment on the electrical and system within our schools. We've got from 11 to 12,000 classrooms, and to go through this process, which we have already begun through an assessment program called HiFit, to take a look at our energy efficiency. So it's a long journey, but we have started that process. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's good. It's good to know, because, going through this whole process, it was kind of, talking story with each individual school and their process of going through the electrical assessment of every, the vice principals did it, and then had to go through the principal, and then it was just an arduous process to go through, especially when, at the time trying to get our schools with the needed AC. But now this also includes, air purifying systems too, whether the classrooms are equipped to handle, possible air purifying systems. So that was something that would be good to know as well.
Yeah. Fortunately, the units, the air purifiers we bought are those that can plug into the room, so it's not an extraordinary demand on the circuitry. We've installed nearly 3,500 air purifiers. Not every class can get it because of the limitations of the funding we had, but it allows for those critical classes that the air circulation is less than optimal. So we've had the schools determine what those rooms are and continue to evaluate. So those units have all been delivered to the schools and operating.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
Randy, of the 3,500 air purifiers that were installed, were these also installed in those classrooms that, within the last couple of years were air conditioned, were installed with air conditioners?
Yes, it's a kind of a double edge. The The recent guidance from CDC and the Department of Health is to try to get air circulation as best we can in the rooms. And those centralized air systems are a little challenging because it didn't have the kind of our ability to open windows. So air purifiers went in there, we increased and made sure we're cleaning the filters in all these systems. As best we can, open windows and create that ventilation. We have to be cautious that we're not blowing or evacuating air across students, but it's really an up and out system. So if someone is sick, we're not blowing that across the students. So we've taken, there's an organization called ASHRAE, which is a Heating and Air Conditioning Association, and they have provided guidance on how to best circulate air in the room, and they have a model that gives us a calculation on how frequent we're circulating that air. Air purifiers were really designed to be in those rooms that had less than perfect air circulation. So they're all in operation.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask you was, when we did install air conditioning in many of the classrooms a couple years ago, was it also required that we seal the windows closed? Was that part
That
of
is
the requirement?
correct. And so in some of the rooms, there's this plexiglass over the louvers, the jalousies. Jalousies are not exactly the best sealant to keep the cold air in the room. So we placed those plexiglass on it. That is problematic for us because now we have to take them off, and some of them were cut specifically to those windows, and we've got to make sure that we retain those and mark them properly. So if there comes a time we need to replace those plexiglasses on those windows, where we're not searching for the right fit. So that has been a little problematic. As our schools are not in full occupancy, the process for those rooms that need it have been accomplished. There's still, I'm sure, a few that we need to work on, but you are correct. The windows were sealed with a plexiglass covering.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate the information.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any more testifiers. So, members, if no further questions, we will be moving to the next item. Senate Bill 365 relating to student-informed consent allows public school students in grades K through 12 to decline participation in dissection, bisection, and other procedures harmful to animals, requires schools to make alternative educational projects available, and the Board of Education to develop rules and give notice to all schools. To testify, Terry Ushijima, Assistant Superintendent. I believe Terry's video is not working, so she will be just giving testimony without us seeing her on video. Terry, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Mercado Kim, and members of the committee. I apologize for not having my video available today. I'm Terry Ushijima, Interim Assistant Superintendent with the Department of Education, testifying on behalf of Superintendent Christina Kishimoto. We stand on our written testimony and offer comment on SB 365, Board Policy 101-13, Controversial Issues, and the Hawaii Department of Education Controversial Issues webpage describes the existing opt-out process for lessons or activities that may be considered controversial. The department respectfully submits that given the board policies and department regulations currently in place, the measure is not needed at this time. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I am available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Terry. Members, any questions? No questions. Thank you, Terry. Next item on the agenda, Senate Bill 843, relating to career and technical education, authorizes the Department of Education teachers to instruct vocation, technical, or career pathway classes without possessing an applicable bachelor's degree. Expands the sources of monies that may be deposited into the private trade, vocational, and technical school special fund, and the purposes for which the fund may be used, appropriates monies. To testify, Terry Ushijima, Assistant Superintendent, Department of Education. Terry, please.
Thank you, Chair Kidani. Again, I'm testifying on behalf of Superintendent Kishimoto for the Department of Education. We stand on our written testimony and offer comment on Senate Bill 0843. The Hawaii Teacher Standards Board currently issues a standard limited license in CTE for potential teachers with industry experience and no bachelor's degree. The department appreciates the proposed amendment to Hawaii Revised Statute 302A-425.5, which would rename the special fund to allow the department to use this fund to maintain its existing CTE programs, expand its program offerings, and promote dual credit CTE courses. The department is concerned that HB 1299 proposes to eliminate this special fund. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I am available to answer questions. Thank you.
Members, any questions? If not, Lynn Hammonds, Executive Director, testifying for Hawaii Teacher Standards Board. Lynn, please.
Thank you, Chair Kidani, Vice Chair Mercado Kim, and members of the committee. I'm Lynn Hammonds, Executive Director of the Hawaii Teacher Standards Board, offering comments on this bill. As the DOE commented, HTSB does currently offer a CTE permit plus 4 categories of licenses in the CTE fields, one of which does not require a bachelor's degree. So I would be happy to answer any questions you have about these licenses or the permit. The only other thing I would recommend is on page 4 of the bill, lines 13 through 16, allow the department to issue certificates in this field. And I would offer the recommendation that this could be confusing to teachers in the field if the department is also issuing a certificate to teach. So we would ask that maybe that portion be removed. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Members, questions? If not, that's all the testimony, oral testimony we have on this particular bill. Moving on. Our final bill, Senate Bill 1004, relating to education. Beginning with the 2021-2020 school year, requires the Department of Education to include the teaching of financial literacy in the personal transition plan requirement for each student. To testify, Terry Ushijima, Assistant Superintendent. Terry, please.
Thank you, Chair Kidani, and good afternoon to Vice Chair Mercado and members of the committee also. Chair Ushijima, testifying on behalf of the Department of Education on behalf of Superintendent Kishimoto. We stand on our written testimony and offer comment on Senate Bill 1004. The department would like to highlight that there are varying personal transition plans or PTP models across the high schools, and each high school has the flexibility to design its PTP curriculum within the department's guidelines, and there are various options to deliver financial literacy that schools can select from. Given the various options to include financial literacy in the school curriculum, the department feels this bill is not needed at this time. Thank you for this opportunity to testify, and I am available for questions.
Thank you. Members, questions? If not, next to testify, Stephanie Sakamoto, testifying for Hawaii Credit Union League. Stephanie, please.
Aloha, Senators. Oh, sorry. Aloha, Senator. Stephanie Sakamoto on behalf of the Hawaii Credit Union League. We're in strong support of financial literacy for students and will stand on our written testimony in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Stephanie, I have a question. Does the Credit Union League have any kind of financial literacy program for students?
Yes, we do. Through several credit unions, there are some programs. There's one called Kid Life Smarts that's currently offered through a high school program, I believe. And the credit unions also assist in starting student-run credit unions in several high schools. That has a financial literacy component as well.
And so this program needs an instructor to do the program, or is this on video, or how is this provided?
I think it's in the Life Smarts one and the student-run credit unions. I believe they're considered extracurricular, so I'm not completely sure who does the teaching. I know the credit unions have professionals that facilitate it, but I'm not sure how they work directly with the DOE. I would have to check.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that information, Stephanie.
Okay, I can get that.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Any further questions? If not, thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
That concludes our agenda, and we will recess for decision making. Okay, the Committee on Education is coming back. Let's see. We have deliberated on the agenda items, and the recommendation of the chair is to pass Senate Bill 813 as is. Members, questions? If not, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on Senate Bill 813. I vote aye. Senator De La Cruz?
Aye.
Senator Canoa?
Aye.
Senator Favela? Senator Favela?
Senator Favela, you're muted.
Cannot hear you.
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you.
Okay, 5 ayes. Recommendations adopted.
Senate Bill 814 relating to charter schools. Recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments, taking the amendments offered by the Charter Commission in their testimony, which removes the letter of intent process, and also there are technical and non-substantive amendments. Members, questions? If not, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on Senate Bill 814. Any member voting no, any member voting with reservations? If not, all 5 members present voting aye. Recommendations adopted.
Senate Bill 864 relating to charter schools requires a minimum of 2 to 3 auditors selected by authorizer for the state's public charter schools have offices on the neighbor islands. Recommendation of the chair is to pass as is. Members, questions? If not, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on Senate Bill 864. Any member voting no, any member voting with reservations? Hearing none. 5 members present voting aye. Recommendations adopted.
Senate Bill 808 relating to the schools, facilities, agencies describes the powers and responsibilities of the schools, facilities, agencies. Recommendation of the chair will be to pass with amendments. Amendments are to include the transfer of all rules, policies, deeds, contracts, agreements as found in the LRB drafting manual parts 13 and 14 related to school impact fees. Insert a blank appropriation into the school's facilities special fund. Insert the power for the SFA to appoint or retain by contract one or more attorneys independent of the Attorney General to provide legal services solely in cases of negotiations in which the Attorney General lacks sufficient expertise, provided that the independent attorney shall consult and work in conjunction with the designated Deputy Attorney General assigned. 4, to insert the power for the SFA to use the Department of Human Resources Development to recruit, hire, and retain exempt employees, architects, engineers, existing civil service positions, and other technical positions for the development, planning, and construction related to capital improvement projects. And also there are some technical and non-substantive amendments. Members, questions? If not, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on Senate Bill 808. Any member voting no? Any member voting with reservations? Hearing none, 5 members voting aye. Recommendations adopted.
Senate Bill 136 relating to the School Facilities Agency to adopt and publish administrative rules. Recommendation of the chair is to pass as is. Members, questions? If not, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on Senate Bill 136. Any members voting no? Any members voting reservations? Hearing none, 5 members voting aye. Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Senate Bill 863 relating to school improvements requires the Department of Education to conduct an electrical assessment on all public and charter schools in the state. Recommendation of the chair is to pass with amendments to clarify that for charter commission, only conversion schools will be required to complete the electrical assessment. Members, questions? If not, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on Senate Bill 863. Any member voting no? Any member voting with reservations? Hearing none, 5 members voting aye. Recommendations adopted.
Senate Bill 365 relating to student-informed consent allows public school students in grades kindergarten through 12 to decline participation in dissection or bisection and other procedures harmful to animals. Recommendation of the chair is to pass as is. Members, questions? If not, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on Senate Bill 365. Any member voting with reservations? Any member voting no? Hearing none, 5 members voting aye. Recommendations adopted.
Was that an objection? No. Senate Bill 843 relating to career and technical education. The recommendation of the chair is defer decision-making to Friday, February 12th at 3:05 p.m. in this room, 229. Chair will meet with the introducer of the bill to discuss some of the issues. Senate Bill 1004 relating to education beginning with the 2021-2022 school year requires the Department of Education to include the teaching of financial literacy in the personal transition plan requirement for each student. Recommendation of the chair is to pass as is. Members, questions? Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye on Senate Bill 1004. Any member voting reservations? Any member voting no? Hearing none, all 5 members voting aye. Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. That concludes the meeting of the Committee on Education. Meeting adjourned.